Hello, and welcome to the 40th Vancouver International Film Festival post-screening conversation Q&A for my International Shorts animation program. Right now, we're joined by a few of our filmmakers here. We have Xosé Zapata and Lorenzo Degl Innocenti with The Monkey. And you can wave to say hello there. There he is.
Hello.
And Director Dmytro Lisenbart for Unnecessary Things. And representing Flowing Home, we have the editor, Guerric, Catala. Glad to have you all here. This is one of the things that we can at least do with Zoom that we were not able to do previously when we were only doing live Q&As, is have filmmakers who are not able to come to Vancouver, and we can chat with them. So, so I guess right off the bat, I'm just going to throw out a very simple question about kind of what was the inspiration behind your work? What sparked you to develop this piece? Let's start with Dmytro.
Моїм бажанням було створити кіно саме після прочитання Роберта Шеклі.
Well, the inspiration came from after reading Robert Shackley, one of the very famous American writers.
Fantastic writers.
Yeah, science fiction writer, obviously. Unfortunately, I think he died recently, right?
Yeah. Але ми хотіли просто зняти, спочатку просто були надихнені роботами «Любов, смерть і роботи», і хотіли, щоб зняти щось подібне цьому фільму, цій збірці. І цей фільм став у нас R&D майбутнього нашого альманаху, фантастичного альманаху, який ми хочемо створити.
So apart from Robert Shackley's work, literary work, obviously Love, Death and Robots series, animation series, were a huge inspiration for the team. And obviously this first episode, this first film, which you guys saw, the Unnecessary Things shop, is just one part, first part of the potential series which we will be developing. And this particular film is, let's say, a pilot, R&D, research and development pilot, preempting the sequence of other films to come soon.
But yet you've made it a film unto itself, so that's good. It doesn't feel like it's a prequel to anything.
Yeah, of course.
Guerric, do you know what Sandra's motivation or inspiration was for Flowing Home?
Yeah. I know it because I live with her, so
yes,
I know her well. So Sandra is Flowing Home is about the Vietnamese diaspora during the 70s, and Sandra is half French, half Vietnamese. So she wanted to talk about this diaspora since a long time, and we have friends who have lived this too. So she talked about her personal story, about our friend's story, and she talked about the Vietnamese diaspora and how do you live such a separation.
It's a beautiful story, and I didn't realize there was some sort of a personal connection there.
Yeah, it's really, really personal.
Yeah, very much. It's so beautiful too. The artistry is just fantastic. Xosé and Lorenzo, what sparked your inspiration for The Monkey?
Hablo yo, Lorenzo, ¿no? O sea, the story is, bueno, voy a hablar en español, es Spanish speak, ¿ok? Pero uno traduce. Está traducido, ok. Está basado en una leyenda inglesa que se llama The Harpur Monkey, ¿no? Que es una leyenda de un pueblo del norte de Inglaterra sobre un hundimiento de un barco de guerra francés.
So the monkey is based on a legend about an existing legend about a boat that sinks and a monkey that was found on board.
Es una leyenda que cuenta la historia de un náufrago que es confundido, un mono, que es confundido por un soldado francés. En este caso, en el cortometraje lo hemos cambiado por un soldado español.
So the legend is about the monkey that was found on a boat that sank, and he was taken for a French survivor. But in the story, in the movie, the French monkey has been converted into a Spanish monkey.
Y hemos lo hemos cambiado a la historia de la Armada Invencible, de la invasión a Inglaterra del siglo XVI, para contar una historia sobre el racismo y sobre lo absurdo de la guerra, ¿no?
So in the movie, it's really about the story of the Spanish Armada. And the story is, the reason for the story is to denounce racism. So the monkey is refers to the racist attitude of lots of people.
Sí, y ya está.
And Lorenzo, to expand upon that point, at the end of the film, there's the statement that says that he might not have been a monkey. He may have been a young boy. And it makes you realize what kind of inhumanity may have existed at that point.
Yeah, the reality depend. For me, it's important. Everyone take the own interpretation of the final. But in my case, it's more the problem for the violence in the innocent people with the child. And every time in the story, the child is the element in the story is the real victim in every war, But this is my point of view. But everyone have, I think, is very important. Everyone feel our opinion. I'm sorry for my English. I don't have help, but I don't know if you understand. I think yes. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think so. And it's very, very applicable still to today, because you realize that the symbolism of what the film is saying, the child, the monkey or child, is very much the victim here, and almost incited racism, because they keep saying, "Well, the Queen is ordered everyone, all the Spanish survivors have to be killed."
No, it's not important. Important is the violence and the racism. Hoy en día pasa con los refugiados, ¿no? O sea,
today, the same thing is happening with the refugees, the kind of violence and racism.
Exactly. And I think you see that symbolic connection. Yeah. And even Guerric, in your film, there's still, when they're fleeing from Vietnam, when the one sister is fleeing with her family, they go through some terrible hardships. I'm just saying, in your film, when the family is fleeing Vietnam, they have a terrible journey. It's very hard. They go to a refugee camp. They're prejudiced against. They have to. It's a long struggle.
And it's real story. But what is really difficult for the character who live Vietnam is that she left her sister and her parents. So the parents had to choose one sister to leave Vietnam. And it happened a lot during this period, but I think that what is really scary, it's 50 years later, it's the same thing. We can see this with Afghanistan now.
But I think we should also talk about the artistry of your films, because all three of your films are so beautifully done artistically. And what I wanted to ask you was, where did the inspiration for the style that you chose to use come from? Did it take you a while to develop that, or did you have an immediate vision of kind of what you wanted it to look like? Because that's so important in animation. Dmytro, I'll start with you.
We try to find, first of all, scenario and theme of our future film, our short film in the future. But after that, we was understood about style, because we saw the Zima Blue film in Love, Secret, and Love, Death, and Robots Almanac. And this style was in general in my head, like a big reference for our style of our film. That's why we use this style, and if you remember, we have no hard animation or difficult animation. We have no any animation. We are focused only for the theme, drama, scenario, and directing skill. Yeah, for our was very important to make in Ukrainian, to make real movie, because our industry is animation industry. We have no animation industry in Ukraine. No, our industry. We have no industry, and we have no any market, animation market in Ukraine. We only grow up in now. We want to grow up all animation industry in Ukraine, and that's why we speak this Toon Boom animation company, speaking this a lot of professional from another countries to invite they in our country for grow up in the skill of animation and develop skills. Thanks, my friend. Again, be my friend. If you need to translate to American, please.
I love the look of your characters. I thought that there was a lot of emphasis put on each individual character having their own unique.
We long time spent to find this style, this character. And this movie is имеет двойное авторство.
Has dual authorship.
Yeah, I am like a director, and my friend Dmytro, artist, art director. Yeah, whole drawing all. I'm a little bit nervous. Sorry.
Okay. All of that is so important, because it is the artistic director, the animators are, I mean, they're paramount.
And if you saw, we tried to ми намагалися відтворити зображення Роберта Шеклі, і це працівник магазину.
And actually, there's a little hidden secret within the film. The team was trying to let's say, replicate the image of the writer, the Robert Shackley, in the character of the shop owner.
Yeah. І ще найбільш важливим це було зображення чоловіка, якого купляють, це мій дідусь.
Oh yeah, and there is another thing there. There is a character there, the human, who is actually being purchased, yeah, in the film. His appearance and his character was taken from Dmitri's grandfather.
Yeah, who died 10 years ago.
Yeah, he's gone for 10 years. Oh, sorry.
І це кіно присвячено дідусю.
And well, yes, he's gone for 10 years, and this film is actually dedicated to Dmitri's grandfather.
Greg, your film is so beautifully done. I mean, it's literally hand painted. It's quite amazing. How did Sandra work a lot to develop that particular look, or did she kind of have an idea in mind right off the bat?
No, it's a style she had developed since a long time. It's funny because before I connected with you, I asked her, tell me what is your inspiration, and she told me it's everything, it's life. So, but me, I saw her since a long time. She drew with a pencil, and after she took the time to color up each picture. And so she created I don't know the word in English, but pantone in Photoshop, you know, all the color. She created her own colors, so with painting, and she scanned it, and voilà. So no, it's since I don't know three movies she did that, so it's her style.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful style, you know. It's representational, but it's also abstracted in a way, and it's so. I just love the watercolor look of it. My father was an artist and painted watercolors, so I'm very familiar with that look. And I just thought it was very different than so much of what you see now, which is all 3D computer animation, and a lot of the characters all very formulaic. And this was completely outside of that.
She doesn't like computer a lot. If she can, she do a movie only with hands. But now she had two with After Effects, this thing. But it's funny when she created her color. Sometimes she took paper and put coffee on it, and put painter just for because she likes her color is a little bit organic.
And I actually noted that in my note, that it has a bit of a gritty feel to it, you know, the coloration of the film. It's so unique and beautiful. So I really appreciated that. And I hope our audience did. And that's interesting that she's worked on that for a while. Jose and Lorenzo, the artistry in your film is spectacular. The details of the characters and the every little element, it's amazing. Did you guys have to debate about how you were going to approach that at all, or did you come up? Is it a style you're familiar with?
We have the great contribution of Ricardo Cabral, is an illustrator, Portuguese illustrator, and he made the character and the scenarios. Obviously, and the particularity of Ricardo is everything have very much details. In fact, we need to simplify a little bit the character for possible animated, because have very much little things, and in the animation, because it's traditional animation, if maybe the character stay in the exactly way started, maybe now continuing to draw. to work, not finish the movie. But okay, we divide a little bit the example. Xosé, it's more the historic part of the film. Xosé is the man with pass the details for Ricardo, the importance of the costumes, try to respect the epoch, with is very important. In my case, is more I do the direction of animation and layout. My part is more inside the animation, and the mix together. Okay, we'll try to combine the three mind, and yeah, this the what happened. The scenario is incredible. Is a Photoshop, okay? Is not real texture, but very much details. The only reference in the past a little bit with Barry Lyndon of Stanley Kubrick, and more for try little bit catch the lighting, the you know, the atmosphere, just for help a little bit, because this movie have one particularity, is have very much not but sufficient dialogue, and we understand if for us is necessary is every frame try to be a little bit a picture, painting, you know, just for okay, because we do animation, we need I don't know, we need I don't know in English, aproveitar. We need
to get the most out of it.
I think you did a fantastic job. The detail is so amazing. The period detail is what I loved, that it really felt like 1580, you know, or wherever it is. It's you know, you buy it completely.
Otra referencia, Sandy, que se podría usar es las películas clásicas de los años 70 de animación.
So another reference, or the
Años 70.
the movies of the 60s,
70s.
70s.
The classics, the Disney 70s is the reference. Is the sort is divided in three parts. The first part is realist. The second part in the surrealist, in the with the monkey and the violence, is surrealist. And the three part is the final, is the one shot, the 1 minute. In the hand, the children is the reflection, no? The spectator, and the final thing for this death, no, the absurd death, the child, no, in the final. Is the three parts, no? First part is the realist, is the 70 classics, the animation, no? And the great job the Lorenzo in the second part, in the hand the monkey and the surrealist, and the transformation, the people and the monsters, no?
Yeah, this is my personal part, my contribution, my special contribution for the movie.
And you really feel that transformation from the beginning, when it seems quite innocent, and then after he's the monkey is found alive on the beach, and then suddenly when the nobleman or whoever comes along and starts to rile the crowd up, and things get out of control. And the progression is so beautiful. Yeah, and very serious too. I mean, I actually got quite, I don't want to say scared, but it's very affecting. You portrayed that violence so well, that mob violence, because just how that is so different.
Yeah, we won't try to don't show the free violence, because the point is very sensible. The argument, the message is very sensible, but we don't want don't put violence just because it's no good, but we won't try find the right way for put the violence, because in the reality the violence exists in the real life. And yeah, this is one of the more difficult part. Try tell the cruelty the right way,
I want to thank each of you for being here. I really appreciated your time, and it was great to talk to you and meet with you. And I hope our audience appreciates all your insights today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good luck for everyone.
Thank you, guys.
It's a big honor.
Gracias a todos desde España.
Bye.
Have an easy day. Bye.
Au revoir.
Bye. Bye.
Welcome to the 40th Vancouver International Film Festival post-screening Q&A discussion conversation I'm having here with filmmakers from my International Shorts animation program. I want to welcome right off the bat Kristian Mercado Figueroa with Nuevo Rico, Zach Dorn, who's here with Charlotte, Josh Okame, I'm going to pronounce, I'm not getting your name right here, I'm screwing it up. Josh is here with Fall of the Ibis King, Mark Boston, who is here with Wake, and Catarina Romano with Anyhow, Anyway. So great to have you all here with us. It's a really wonderful program, and I love all your works. And what I love about the program is every film is so different. The style, the approach, the themes, it's really quite wonderful. And the artistry is fantastic. So that's what I'm going to start with, is just a question to each of you about your artistic style, where you came up with that, or your inspiration for that. Was it something that you immediately knew what you wanted it to look like, or was it something you kind of had to work at a bit? Kristian, let's start with you.
I kind of just like the idea of cross-pollination of like styles and techniques. So like I kind of just like mixing things till it just becomes a new thing in general. So like I kind of just try to explore a lot, and I don't know if I have like specific influences, but I definitely have like a little bit of like anime and like Latin American influences, and just try to like fuse them in some ways that kind of like create something new. But I'm also like really fascinated by like older animation, like from the circa like 70s to like 90s, where everything had kind of like a more tangible tactile quality. And so I think I seek that out a lot, and I'm really kind of just inspired by things that just have like intensity and color. So I just kind of like crave it and seek it out.
Intensity and color is an absolute moniker for your film. It is both those, absolutely, and it definitely a unique style. I really enjoyed it. It's such high energy. It's fun. It just never stops from beginning to end.
Thank you.
Yeah. Zach, your film has such a wonderfully different look. Puppets is such a unique style, and I had a great puppet animation last year. I'm so glad to have another one this year. Did you, obviously there's a lot of work there just to develop the puppets themselves.
Yeah, I'm a puppeteer. I went to puppet school, but all the puppets you see in my film, I did not make. I'm really bad at making puppets. I like them a lot, but I'm terrible at building them, and I'm terrible at constructing them. I just like building tiny sets a whole lot. So like the sets like I really care about, and the puppets to me are secondary, and the animation is sort of secondary. In fact, the original version of this film didn't have any puppets at all. And then I went back and added, I worked with two puppet designers, Oliver Levine and Lily Windsor, and we went back and we added, we created sort of a film with puppet characters, and then I ended up animating them.
Well, you did a fantastic job, because I felt that the characters really are very expressive, you know, and you really get all the emotion that's happening in there beautifully.
Oh, that's great to hear. It's very minimal. It's very minimal. And the animation, I think a lot of animators would really dislike it. It's quite maybe a bit crude in some aspects, but I think that I'm really glad to hear that it can still communicate some type of emotion.
Yeah, and I think the crudeness works with just the general approach you took.
Oh, that's great. That's good to hear. That's great.
Josh, your film has such a fabulous look too. With the elongated characters and a very moody piece. Did you and Mickey really kind of have to go back and forth about how that was going to work?
Yeah, we kind of developed the style for the film, and originally it was all like digital, and we've just felt it didn't really suit the like atmosphere that we wanted the film to have. So then, yeah, there was like an illustrator from Argentina called Jorge Gonzalez, whose work was like kind of an inspiration. And then, yeah, we just came up with we just used oil pastels for the backgrounds, and then tried to color the characters to blend with them.
Just the whole theme of the piece is so different, but I thought you really captured that it's a dark story, and all of it worked together to really amplify that.
Thank you.
Mark, well, your piece is just so different. It's so wonderful. I couldn't stop smiling after watching it the first time. It was an absolute treat. First off, you're a fantastic painter, but I love the idea, just the whole concept. And in your note that you wrote about it was, you said it's kind of an experiment. Obviously, it's an experiment that worked extremely well.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, it's definitely an experiment, and not necessarily something I'd do again, you know, just because it's so time consuming, and the style is basically working with paint. So, you know, literally every frame is painting. But it was extremely good fun to make, you know, and yeah, I'm glad you like it. Yeah.
It's so much about the pure joy of creation and just expression, and you have an amazing imagination too, because I love those pieces. The themes are fantastic.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Well, I mean, it evolved very spontaneously, very naturally, you know, starting out, just the idea of recording a paint process of painting. That was the first thing that really struck me, because that's what I've always been doing, really making paintings before I was an animator. And it just occurred to me, you know, that process of seeing a painting evolve is really fascinating, especially if it's a very rich, detailed painting.
And so you certainly are. And Catarina, your piece is so artistic too, very, very beautifully rendered, and captures so much of her inner mental state. And I thought that was portrayed so beautifully in your film.
Thank you. for me to choose the style of the film, I just went from the concept of the male gaze. Sorry, guys. So in kind of an ideal woman, what does an ideal woman look like? And then I went to history, to paint history, and try to use that style and to give her life. And after that, what would she do in such a situation? And try to develop it from there.
I love that you used a very impressionistic style. You know, I caught it immediately because I went to art school. So you see, it was so refreshing. It was so different and wonderful, and that's a style that works very much with light and color. And your piece is both very the lighting and the effects and the colorations are just terrific.
Thank you.
Kristian, I really liked in your story how you touched on the mythology of Puerto Rico and the history of the indigenous people there, the gods, and blended that into the story so beautifully. I know that was really important to you.
Yeah, definitely. I was like, you know, it's like a futuristic story, so there's something really cool about like going to the past, like telling something about the past using the present or the future. So like I was really interested in that. And a lot of that just comes from this desire to kind of explain like the origin points of Puerto Ricans, or like maybe investigate like what that is in general. And I thought a lot of the story, like the mythology, comes from that idea of just like kind of tapping into something like the root of something, you know. And I thought that was interesting, especially in context of the world that's like kind of a future Puerto Rico, but kind of has forgotten itself a little bit. And yeah, I think it's just an interesting contrast. It's just a fascinating way to play. I mean, it's weird to put like old like gods next to technology and stuff like that. It's kind of like the contrast is fun.
But to me, it made sense because it worked a lot with how America has treated its indigenous people through its history, and Puerto Rico was no different. You know, they wanted to basically eliminate them, wipe them out, forget it. So that's why I really appreciated that.
Oh, thank you.
And Zach, your film is so contemporary. The theme of it, all the little details of it are so beautifully handled. I really enjoyed like the talk show was great. But just the reality of the family and the dynamics, all of that. Did you struggle a bit with the story to come up with that?
Yeah, I did. I struggled to get that story in a 12-minute film. I think it was originally written with like a lot of extra characters and sort of this a lot of intertwining narratives with maybe 6 or 7 characters that all had to do with that pop song. But that's just, eventually I kind of had to eliminate a lot and just try to get it down to 12 minutes. So it took about a year actually of kind of like writing about these characters and then ultimately deciding those are the 3 that I wanted to follow and then making that film about them.
Yeah, and that really works so well. I find in shorts, too often you see filmmakers who throw too many pieces in and they can't resolve things properly and it just gets confusing. And when you keep it down to sort of a real core story, that's when it works the best.
I still think my film can definitely have too many pieces and still be a little confusing. But hopefully it ends up working just barely. I think it ends up working maybe just barely.
Oh, I'd say more than that. It's very amusing. It's touching. It's amusing. It's insightful. It hits on so many aspects of a real life, yet portrayed in this very abstracted way. Yeah. Josh, where did you come up with the story for your film?
I think, yeah, myself, because it was our final year like graduation film from college. So myself and my friend, we just like did this thing where every day we'd write down an idea for like a potential film idea. But this one just like kind of stuck with me and I kept coming back to it. And so then it just kept kind of rewriting it and rewriting it.
Do you have a history with theater at all, or opera, or anything like that that would have made you gravitate towards that theme?
Yeah, I like it, but no, I don't have any like personal. When I was writing the film, then I kind of watched a lot of films revolving around theater. I went to a few plays, and then we also did like a tour of the theater, like the backstage, just to kind of get a feel for what it was like. Yeah.
And I appreciated those little details that you threw in there, which made it feel like very real.
Thank you.
And Mark, well, your piece is just an amazing piece of imagination. You've got a great history too, though. I know one of the pieces you worked on was Loving Vincent, which was just a mind-blowing feature that we played at VIFF, I think about 5 years ago. Yeah. It was one of the most popular films at the festival that year. We were turning people away.
Yeah, well, the part I played on that film was a very, very small part, but it was an incredible education. That was working with oil paint, which is something I still get slightly freaked out by. It's not what I'm used to working with, but it definitely sparked something in me to try and do something more personal, and it was that experience working on that film which led me to make Wake and do it more in my own style, and with well, it's all done with acrylic paints, which is what I feel more comfortable working with. And the good thing is with acrylic paints, they dry very fast. So that means it's very easy to keep on sort of adding layers to it, adding different things. Very easy. You don't have to wait until paint dries. Which it's a slightly different technique to the Loving Vincent film. In Loving Vincent, you were basically scratching off paint from the canvas once it had been photographed, and then repainting. Either that or sort of nudging the paint slightly for each frame. Whereas this one, it's just really continuing to make the painting and see where the painting evolves to or ends up.
What I also liked about the technique was that you were photographing, you were painting on canvas, whereas so often with animation, it's painting on glass,
yeah,
which is quite different.
Yeah, it's different, yes. And again, with glass, usually it's working with oils because they don't dry so quickly, and they're very malleable.
And manipulate.
I don't know if that's the right word, but
yeah, you can manipulate it more in a way.
Yeah.
And Catarina, what how did you approach the artistry in your film and illustrating it? Was that something you do normally, or is that the style that's very normal for you?
The style in itself, I think that in my first film I was already close. In here I took it a little bit further. It's very realistic and which is I think nowadays it's not usual, and it's normal because we try to experiment with other things. But this was also a concept. It's made in 3D, and then we work on it on post-production, and it also gives it the kind of feeling that there is something behind the textures, which is the 3D, and it kind of because I'm trying to think about what the subject is and things like that, and I like to work with that feeling that there is something behind. These are other layers.
And I think that that comes through because you definitely feel there's something behind this character that we're not seeing, you know, and her life that seems very repetitive, very constrained in a way. But yet that's so contrasted by this colorful approach, in a way, muted colors but very colorful approach to the imagery.
I use color to put some aggressiveness. I hope it passes into this kind of melancholic feeling. At the same time, I try to put this double feeling on them, and then in the memory, I did the opposite. I mean, it's very colorful, but more smooth because it was a sweet memory from childhood. So that she uses to get out of the of this place where she.
Yeah, that previous time, that previous life, right? Yeah. No, it's a really beautiful work. I was really struck by it the first time I saw it. But all of your works, I mean, it's just I was, like I said earlier, what I loved about this program is every film is so different, and it really touches on so many different techniques, so many different styles and themes, and yeah, very complimentary too, which I enjoyed. Kristian, how was your big you've been doing work for a long time. This is certainly not your first film. You had a big premiere of South by Southwest. How did that go?
Oh, it went really well. The premiere was great. I mean, I got a lot of good like reception and feedback from people. Like it was just like a really great experience in general. Like I mean, in general, like touring with the in the festival circuit right now, I've been getting a lot of positive feedback on the short in general. Like it's been like really nice to see people really gravitate towards it, or have some sort of like curiosity about it, or I mean a lot of questions about the style and a lot of questions about where it's coming from. And I mean it seems like quite a unique piece, I guess, for some people, you know, where they're like they haven't quite seen something like it. So it's been kind of a great reception, I feel. I've been really blessed in that sense.
And it's an old theme. It's not a new theme, you know, in that sense. You've handled it very in a different way, but the theme itself is not new.
Yeah, totally. There's like the story of like kind of like rags to riches of it all, and like, you know, the cautionary tale of it all.
About how success corrupts, and
yeah,
you know, yeah,
100%.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and I love the dynamics between the sister and the brother. I thought that you handled that really, really well.
Yeah, I feel like anytime if I make a story, like having a little bit of like once they're family, it makes the stakes a little bit higher, and like everything just kind of like family kind of creates tension or drama instantly the minute you infuse the story with it, you know.
I think it sounds like real life.
Yeah.
And Zach, that's very applicable to your story as well. That family dynamic.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's hard to escape your family. Even when you make artwork, you can't escape your family. Somehow it kind of still slips in.
And I love the struggle of of Charlotte trying to figure out her grandson and what the heck is his motivation is, and you know, but yeah, it was beautiful, really, really nicely done. And Josh, your characters are all about a real dynamic interchange as well there.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just kind of yeah, there weren't like dialogue to animate is like a lot of work, so we were kind of trying to keep the amount of dialogue to a minimum, writing.
But that doesn't minimize that dynamic relationship that's going on there between those three people. in any way. Unfortunately, that doesn't really apply to the Mark's film or Catarina's film. Mark, but what I loved about your film was your visions are very organic, and the evolution from one painting to another was almost seamless. It was so beautiful.
In some ways, that's that's the way I decided in the end to put it all together. For example, it's not each of the paintings that comes into focus in the film. It wasn't necessarily made in that order, but that's so that's what I meant by it being quite an experimental film. A lot of, for example, the later imagery is I did first in the whole experiment. That some of the later imagery was the first some of the first paintings I recorded. But in the end, once I had all these photographs, it made sense to me to put it in this order. And then, for example, this color, I focus in on that color, and that becomes the color in another painting. And so I kind of found an organic flow to it. After having recorded each painting.
And that's always a hard decision too. Sometimes, I find even just when I'm ordering my program for the audience, how it's going to be presented, that it has to have a flow. It has to have a narrative to it that builds from one short to the next to the next. You can't just throw it in any order. They have to complement each other. And I thought you hit that very beautifully in the way one piece flowed to the next.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think so. I think in some ways it's many different films. There's several possible films, in there, and depending on the order that the paintings appear in, and I did try a few different versions.
Yeah, it's a great version. And Catarina, although you don't have any other family members really in your story, there's still a dynamic in her evolution through the film.
Yes, so she has a partner, which we don't see, but it's there. We listen to him or her. We don't know. But there's a transformation that she makes through her memory, that she uses that song that comes from her past, and that she uses to rebuild herself and free herself.
And yes, to escape her kind of dreary reality,
Yeah. Yes.
You said there was a partner that we don't see. Is that the setting of the dinner placement where nobody
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, but we hear the steps coming in and out. So it can be, I don't explain it, so I think it's open to whatever. I know what I know, but
to me, it almost emphasized her loneliness.
Yes, that's what I intended. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way I read it. It's very open, but it really did push that point for me, and so beautifully. I think we're going to have to call this here, guys, because we've kind of been going for a while. And I thank you all so much for your time, for your wonderful films. I'm so glad we got to have this time together, and really appreciate it. And hopefully one day we'll be able to meet in person somewhere.
Thanks very much. Thank you.